and you made your own visual of this while you were on vacation. Splice in the Charlie character from It's Always Sunny in Philly.
After 2 Kalik beers, that's the native beer of the Bahamas, I sat down with some stationery in my hotel room and I sketched out my mostly media empire, Kyle.
Tell us what it looks like.
At the center of it all is content. And I'm saying content, but what I think both of us strive to provide is educational stuff, but the underbelly of that is trust, right? You're getting it from someone that you relate to, someone that is credible, and someone that you think has done their homework on something. So that's at the center. And then the offshoots for me, which are already in place, are the newsletter, mostly metrics. That's been the main thing. The podcast, which I started first, Run the Numbers, and then live events that I've done. And live events, it's kind of a loose term, but it's basically these more intimate dinners I'll do with 25 to 30 CFOs, or happy hours where I'll get 50 finance professionals together and we'll all have drinks and network.
To me, I look at this and I'm like overwhelmed by the level of potential distraction. Walk me through your logic for like why these actually make each other stronger, or just the broader vision of what you're trying to achieve with this.
So there's this framework of thinking of media companies as like business in the front, some sort of service in the back, or product, right? Because if you believe that people and companies want to use you as a medium to advertise on, right? You have to believe that you could ostensibly go and create something yourself and also own that too, right? Be vertically integrated in that way. The advertising part of my business will always be the largest, but that doesn't mean that I can't create something else that I identify the audience needs. So if I think about what a CFO needs, and like we take away the whole crazy map and we just think about like what makes a CFO successful, it's education, right? Knowing your stuff. I provide that through the podcast and newsletter. It is talent, being able to hire the best people, which funny enough are in that audience. And it's tech buying guidance. So stuff around what tools to buy and the benchmarks around what you should be using for your size and shape.
I think of your business as, a little bit different from maybe the Disney or Dude Perfect. Like, I think instead of having content at the center, the way you just described it is you're kind of putting your audience at the center. Like, you have a really specific niche persona and you want to be the best destination for everything that persona needs. And so like the core is a really deep insight into what this persona cares about, and having just a large number of them, right? Like you have a large engaged audience of these people that you can ask questions to, that you can interview on your podcast. To me, the core of your business is very, very different from a Disney where the core was the IP or of the characters.
That's funny. So you inverted it and you put the audience at the middle, not the content.
For you, I don't think my business is the same because I kind of cover a really wide range of people. I think for you, like you're becoming the destination for that person that works in startup finance from the beginning of their career to getting to the, public company CFO. That is the core insight. That's the foundation. And I think it would be much harder for you to go jump personas than to expand the universe kind of within the same persona, but like expand what you're offering to that persona.
That's a great insight. I'm kind of having a revelation on it now. Mario Gabelli had written at one point this piece where he described the content creator's mullet, where he said it's like business in the front, not party in the back like a mullet, but basically like a service in the back. And I'd always thought about my business that way too. Like the content's the gateway, and then you figure out what larger product or service you can sell somebody behind that, right? An example would be Doug DeMuro. He creates a lot of car videos where he reviews these cars. And then the service that he put behind it was he created a marketplace called Cars and Bids, where you could go and buy your own exotic car, and he would get a percentage of every transaction. Another example would be the guys over at Meat Eater, where they have all this content about being a hunter, about eating meat, and then you can go and actually buy meat from them or hunting gear from them. What you explained about my business makes me actually look at it a bit differently than I had before.
To me, if I were in your shoes, and it's easy for me to be the armchair quarterback, but like if I'm in your shoes, the things that actually matter for your audience are, okay, what can you do at the high end? So the high end is that top tier CFO level. that's the aspiration of what everyone wants to be. And that's honestly the most valuable audience. So how do you bear hug them, right? And those are where like the dinners come from. Those are the guests you want to have on your podcast. Like that's a group that probably you need to treat in a really kind of special way. And then I think there's the other flip side is people that are just starting their career and want to grow into that persona. And I think for that second group, things like courses so that they can like, hey, I'm a finance analyst, I'm a finance manager, I want to get to CFO. How do I do that? There's like some really interesting educational material you could produce that's like the path to CFO. And I think that's probably one of the biggest glaring gaps I see in your media flywheel compared to, maybe where you could go.
Something that I think Lenny has done a really good job with is catering to the aspirants, the people who want to get to that top tier PM role at a tech company. He's not necessarily on the mountaintop saying, I write for chief product officers. He's saying, I write for the PM who's trying to get better at their career. And on the surface, you may say, oh, well, why don't you just shout that you're doing this for the person at the top? And I think what he realized was there was more of a market to go after the people on the come up.
Yeah, there's so many more of the people that are trying to get there. But also, I mean, you kind of need both audiences. So like the more junior people become the next wave of CFOs. And so, you want to nurture them while they're still learning. And then they can go back and like, I owe my career, I owe getting here partly to CJ. The other thing is if you have any sort of hiring practice, there's two sides. One is the CFO doing the hiring. The other is people that you'd want to fill into roles. If you're teaching people how to get to CFO and then you're also helping place them in roles, like you need a pretty engaged audience of smart people that are trying to grow their career to be able to match make on both sides.
And it's something that I think about very often. Is it better to go deeper with the same core audience? And that's what I'm doing with the recruiting service, right? That's a high ticket offering if you're able to place somebody. And usually it's a retained offering as well. So you at least make 2/3 of those dollars. Or go adjacent. So me and you are doing a podcast now, which is in between what we're both interested in. And it allows us to tap into, selfishly, an advertising set that's not exactly the same as our core audiences in newsletters, but still caters towards the valuable people that they're trying to sell to.
Honestly, like if I were to zoom out, like I think this podcast is probably somewhat of a distraction from like your core flywheel. It's maybe an experimental bet, or it could actually be its own map if it's successful, right? Plus, I think that you probably do it partly because you're interested in topics that are not just strictly finance related and it's fun to jam. If you were like strictly looking at this from a dollars and cents standpoint, I don't know if this is the highest ROI use of your time.
Oh, it's absolutely not. Like if I look at all the different things that I offer, I make the least off of this podcast, but I probably have the most fun for 2 hours that I have all week. So there's something valuable in that, and also getting to use your brain for something slightly different, because I think it informs the other stuff that I do, write about for CFOs.
With some of these things, I mean, with Disney, they've had so many kind of test cases, right? Where like, oh, let's create a Cinderella character. This has none of the other core characters in it, but like we're going to test to see if there's appetite here. And if there is, we can fold it into the kind of Disney property universe. So I do think that there's always room for one or two experimental bets, even if it doesn't fit into the framework super well. The big thing that I think you stand out on is you have an opportunity to own that finance persona. That should be just at the core to all of your offshoots. And that's what's going to make all the other things stronger. I think it's that more than the content. Not to say that you don't write good content, like you do, but there's actually a lot of other decent startup finance content too. There's not another trusted community for this audience that you're serving. When I looked to set up my first CRM at Growth Unhinged, I knew I wanted something that was actually AI first. The world has evolved. Most CRMs are still stuck in the 90s. I found Lightfield, the CRM that remembers everything and does the work for you. It joins all my sales calls, reads my emails, and has the full context on every account. At this point, Lightfield knows my deals better than I do. I haven't had to set up a single CRM dashboard. Instead, I simply ask Lightfield questions like, which deals in my pipeline planner most likely to close, or who do I need to follow up with today? It even automatically prepares me for meetings with a personalized daily briefing, and setup was quick and surprisingly painless. Lightfield is my sales coach, RevOps analyst, therapist, EA, all in one. See Lightfield for yourself with a 14-day free trial. Connecting data from your inbox takes just 5 minutes, and you can migrate in under an hour. Go to lightfield.app, that's LIGHTFIELD.app, and use code MOSTLYGROWTH to get 3 months free.